Hello and welcome back to Jacob's Toys 5-minute figure reviews. Please do like, share, subscribe, all of those things. All support to the channel is very much appreciated. In this video we are taking a look at the classic retro carded Loki figure by Marvel Legends. Now this is, I'm really late to the party with this one. I picked up the others, I picked up Wanda and Vision and Falcon, but I didn't pick up Loki. So I'm late to the party, but I'm going to take a look at him anyway. He's really cool. He comes with two alternate head sculpts, comes with two heads, a head and an alternate head, and he comes with two daggers as well. Now this is the same head sculpt that we got on the previous version. I will go and grab that in a minute, and the one that's on him is the new head sculpt. Daggers are really cool. They are essentially repaints of the daggers that we got on the MCU Drax figures, but they do fit with Loki really well. Or you could swap them for the ones with Drax and have kind of more detailed ones with Drax, depending on whether your collection is more comic book focused or MCU focused. So here he is out of the box. The head sculpt on him is, I think I prefer this one. It's got a bit more of a stern look about him. The horns are slightly shorter. The hair's still doing the same thing. It would have been nice if they'd kind of put the hair down maybe, or given it kind of less wind resistance, is that the right word? But let me grab the older version so you can see them side by side. So here is the older version and the newer version. They're the same figure. They are literally exactly the same figure. If you swap the head sculpt over and you put this one on, they are the same figure. There's no denying that, there's no hiding that. The main difference is the paint job. So on the older version it's a darker green and a metallic gold, and on the newer one it's like a duller green and like a more comic book accurate yellow and black. And of course the older version comes with a sword, where the newer version comes with daggers. Now daggers are a lot more like Loki's choice of weapons, so I think he does look better with daggers, but of course he has used the sword in the comic books, hence why we got it. I would have liked to have seen a little bit of a difference, a little bit of an upgrade on this one to just really make him different, maybe sculpting the kind of chainmail look on his chest, or even just sort of playing around with the hair or something. Just repainting him, giving us another head and changing the sword out for some daggers doesn't really qualify as a new figure. It is just a reissued figure. With that being said, I have quite a large collection, so the older version is going to go in my Asgard collection and the newer version is going to go on my kind of vintage shelf. Now I did create a custom, well it's not really a custom, it's a repaint, but I repainted the what was it? It was the cloak from the Citizen V figure, I think, because Loki does quite often have a cape. So I repainted that with some gold and yellow and put it on my older version, the original version, and I think he looks really good. Even just adding that in, I mean this head sculpt is much better. The paintwork and the detail on this whole head sculpt is a lot better than this older version. But even if they just used the Citizen V cloak and gave him a cape, it would have changed the figure completely. I've seen a lot of people do this with various different capes and cloaks and stuff, and give this Loki figure a cape. I've seen a couple of people use the Citizen V one as well, but they could have very easily thrown that in and just made it look like a completely different figure, because as you can see here, this is both the new head sculpts now on both of the figures, and I think this is how I'm going to leave it. But by putting that cape on the older figure, it makes it look completely different. Hence why I'm going to have one in my Asgardian kind of shelf. I would say it's Asgardian, it's got a lot of the Thor figures in it, and I'm going to have this one on my kind of vintage retro-y shelf as well. So I can quite happily display both because they do look different, but if you have the older version you don't need to rush out to buy this newer version, because it essentially is just a reissue with a new paint job. I do prefer the knives and I do prefer the head sculpts of the new figure, but the old figure is absolutely fine as it is. Now with the recent release of Loki, we've seen classic Loki played by Richard E. Grant, so there has been a bit of a boom in popularity of this figure because it's essentially the comic book version of that Loki that we saw portrayed by Richard E. Grant in the Loki TV show on Disney+, and Marvel Legends have announced that we are going to have a Richard E. Grant Loki figure. Now this one I'm kind of like at a loss with. I think I'll just go in my fodder bin, because the details on the face are not anywhere near as good on these as it is on these new head sculpts. So I'm definitely going to keep the two new head sculpts on both of the figures, just to kind of use as much of the new figure as possible. But yeah, he's pretty cool. He's discounted in a lot of places as well now, so if you haven't got a Loki figure or you do fancy picking up a second, you can pick him up for well below retail at the moment. Do check out places like Amazon and the independent retailers, because they're the ones who are discounting him. I haven't seen him discounted on Pulse just yet. But yeah, he's okay. I do like him as a figure. Well worth picking up if you're a fan of Loki or a classic look collector. Thanks so much for watching. See you soon.